Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Barbara Christensen VlogCast. And I was gone last week traveling to an amazing nutritional conference, learning some fantastic things, especially, plant-based. And so I'm excited to be back and share some more of my passion with you. So today, I really wanted to move more into these chakras and how you can assess really where you're feeling some natural blockages. And so, the blockage can be emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and some of the issues that can develop during a chakra activation period can be pretty intensive. I've got my little dog sitting behind me trying to get my attention. If you hear him, I apologize, but he's very needy, this little puppy. So generally, the first chakra is located, as far as chakra medicine goes, in our hips. And this is really about issues around our safety, our security, feeling nurtured, feeling that you are safe. It's something that a lot of people might not quite understand, but there's this vital and balanced thing that we have with that root chakra as far as grounding and dependability and independence and just being able to thrive, because if you have some of those safety and security issues, then you're very unbalanced and you might have more anxiety and insecurity and fearfulness. And what's interesting is, so the activation of this chakra comes from womb to 6 months. And I had always heard in yoga that if you have really tight hips, that it's related to birth trauma. And so that makes sense that if between, the birth to 6 months, if that's when you're activating this chakra, that would make sense as to why we would, if we're feeling that held in our hips. And I have really major hip tightness. And so it's actually quite interesting that when I was born, I had hydaline membrane disease, and I've got really tiny lungs because of that, as well as a hole in my lower tricuspid valve in my heart. And I was, really underweight when they finally were able to take me home. My mother had to weigh me on one of those old school scales, and she would put a 5-pound sugar bag on one side and me on the other to make sure that I didn't go back under 5 pounds. That's how tiny I was. Now, the reason that I was so tiny is also partially because I was a twin. Now, when I was born, and my, mother had 2 babies, and she said, doctor, how is that second baby? And the doctor just told her to shut her mouth. And she never was able to get to the bottom of it. My father had refused to pay. He was an alcoholic, bad GABA, and he had refused to pay the doctor. And so we don't know what happened. Somewhere there may be another me out there. So if you're walking down the street and you see me, it may be me. Or it may be someone that just is my other me. We will never know. I did have an intense dream over and over again that I was dying in a fire when I was like 4 years old. So I don't know if that was something that happened to my other me, or if that was just part of that initial intuitive being, because all of that develops over those first few years. So, I don't know. We'll get into that more another time. So, also our root chakra is closely affiliated with our bones and our adrenals, of course, sense of smell, and our nervous system. And so aromatherapy works really well for working out these sort of issues. A lot of people would think that you would just topically apply to the hips, but you may get more out of this from doing aromatherapy rather than doing the carrier oil to your hips, but you may also want to do that. So some of the things that you might be presented with if you're having that first chakra issues is you might have some inflammation, you might have some body tension, a lot of fear-based issues. Of course, anything in that hip area, your rectum, your lower vertebrae. You also may find that you might have some major addictions or sexual issues. Also, a lot of those addictive money issues pop up from here, and a lot of those belief issues around money pop up from here. But this is also where the gift of empathy, comes from. And for all of those empaths out there, this is where it was created. And so, especially since it's created from the womb to 6 months, for those that are empaths, we really deeply carry those emotions from our mother in our hips. So it's really important to try to balance out that issues and to release those emotions, because we took those emotions on as our own, but those emotions are not our own, nor should we hold on to them. You need to put the intention out there that you're going to get rid of that. And so through diffusing, that's a really, really good one. So one of the very first oils that I always go to for this first chakra is patchouli. And that's a really great bushy herb. It's from the mint family, and it has stems, and it has these small pink-white flowers. And this is a steam distilled oil, and it's just really grounding and balancing on our emotions. So I really love sharing that as a first oil for someone that is trying to really ground those emotions before you start working on it. One thing that's great about patchouli is that it's really wonderful for our complexion. So if you add a little bit to a facial oil, oh, that is amazing, especially now that we're going into what will be our drier months. And a facial oil is fantastic for that time of year. That would be a great addition to your facial oil to add that to it. It will help with the appearance of wrinkles, and it helps with blemishes, and you could add it to your favorite moisturizer as well if you use a moisturizer. This one is, if you're diffusing it, of course you're just going to use a couple of drops here and there in your diffuser, and it's a really great way to start off your day. So if I go in here to my book, the thing that's great is that this could have some really amazing effects for you, but there is possible skin sensitivity. So I wouldn't use this, say, if you're going to the tanning spa, which hopefully none of you are doing that anymore. But I wouldn't use that on your skin before going out in the sun for a day, because it does have that skin sensitivity. Patchouli from the right distributor that's doing all of the third-party testing can be used internally. The ones that I use can be used internally. And as well, diluted with a carrier oil, if you're not going to be out in the sun, you can apply 1 or 2 drops to the desired area diluted with a carrier oil. And it's just a really great fragrance to use. So that's one that I really like to start with. But again, remember, with that, sensitivity going into the summer months, to keep that in mind. Now, I often combine the patchouli with vetiver. And a lot of you have heard a lot about vetiver, I am sure. Vetiver is one of my very favorite oils in my house. if you've heard me talk about my daughter, because it is so grounding on the emotions. It's really calming. It's great for restful sleep. A lot of people often think about lavender for sleep, but vetiver is a great one to help sleep. And it also is, a member of this grass family, so it grows really well, but it has really deep root system. And so the vetiver actually comes from that root, which, we think about the roots that we use, turmeric and ginger. So we're using the root of this wonderful grass. And the collection method for this is a hydrodiffusion. So I love that the vetiver that I usually get, it is a really soil stabilizing. So think about that in terms of why it's so connected to our emotions. It's got a fantastic aroma. It's great if you're a massage therapist to use. And, it also can support a healthy immune system, which is another wonderful benefit. So during the winter months, I often add a drop or two into my peppermint tea. You could also use it in a nice bath at the end of a hard day. And just use it to diffuse. Put a few drops in your diffuser, especially for those that homeschool like I do. That's a great one to use during the homeschooling to help calm your kids, and because some of these kids can get really emotional. Again, with this oil, if you are using the right oils that are really highly tested, you know that they're of good quality, you can do a drop in your bottle of water, as long as it's a glass or a stainless. Don't put a drop into your plastic bottle. It will eat through it. You'll end up sucking whatever's in the plastic down instead of just the oil. You can also topically apply it with dilution of whatever carrier oil that you like. Again, this one is one that has a possible skin sensitivity. So you want to make sure that you're diluting this, and keep that in mind going into the summer months. It's not photosensitivity, but I still believe anything that's skin sensitive, you want to be cautious of when you're out in the sun. So that's another really great one. Another favorite of mine is one that people have used for forever in holistic and homeopathic type medicines, and that's cassia. Cassia is very uplifting, so you can imagine why that upliftingness would be helpful for feeling safe and secure. Now, cassia is very close relative to cinnamon, so it's very strong and spicy. So that one you definitely want to dilute. It's what we call a warming oil, and that also can help support a healthy immune system. And so you think warming during the cold months. Yesterday it was raining like crazy, and so I actually doubled up on my time in front of my red light because I was freezing. I had just come back from traveling. I wanted to, support my immune system, as well as I needed that, boost to my mitochondria and just feel warm because it was really, when I say rain in Seattle, we don't really get that much. This year we've had a lot of rain in Seattle. We've had more rain, I think they said, than 115 years. So record breaking, and yesterday it poured. I thought I was going to have to get an ark. So this comes from the bark, and it's also steam distilled. It's great with ginger. I love it with ginger. Ginger's another one of my favorites, whether it's an organic powder or an essential oil. It's also really good with citruses, so I love it with a little lemon. It can help if you are changing your diet. A lot of times if we're changing our diet and we want to go a little bit longer, like with the Whole30 where you're going to go without snacks if possible, cassia with a little lemon in a glass of water can really help you as you're trying to change that from snacking every 2 hours to maybe eating every 4. Now, if you're using, that's only if you're using oils that are highly tested, you're not getting any sort of toxins in it. You can diffuse it, and you can go ahead and, like I said, apply it topically if you dilute it, because it is a spicy, that's what we call it in my house, it's a spicy oil. But it can really help overall, if we're thinking about this as supporting the eating. It can help, it actually may help ease occasional indigestion if you're taking it, because it can promote healthy digestion when taken internally. It also could support your healthy cardiovascular, metabolic, and immune function. There's a lot of research out there, and I'll try to get some of that research onto the blog. Of course, remember that any of the statements that I make here are not evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and that any essential oil that I am talking about is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So please make sure that you talk to your physician if this is something that you are interested in moving into with essential oils. As well, some essential oils can interact with drugs, so you should always talk to your doctor and your pharmacist and make sure that you're really discussing all of this so that you're not, or talk with an aromatherapist, so that you're not getting yourself into a bad place. Now, another one that I really like is spikenard. So spikenard is a flowering plant, and think of it being in the valerian family. And so people use a lot of valerian root tea, right? So this is also from that area, and it's got this really lovely woody smell that I like, and it's from roots. We're using roots for our root chakra, and it's steam distilled, and it's used a lot with meditation for its grounding properties. It's also very uplifting. You can also add this. This would be a great one for a guy to add into their skincare because it can promote clean and healthy skin. It's used a lot in perfumes, in those sort of musty perfumes. It's from Nepal. And what's great is I love that the organization that I work with is really supporting these rural communities in development through their sourcing initiatives, which means a lot to me. You know that I'm very engaged in all of that. So this one you could definitely go ahead and topically apply with a little carrier oil because it can have possible skin sensitivity. Right to the back of your neck. You can also add it to your temples, even just to your feet in the morning to help with that calmness and that relaxation feeling as you're going forward in your day. I love it, like I said, in my skincare because it's going to soften and smooth your skin, as well as it just combines with some really great oils. You could use it with the citrus oils. You can use it with lavender. I love it with juniper berry or with cedar wood, some cypress. There's all sorts of oils this blends really well with. So it's one of those really fantastic go-to oils if you're really trying to find just one oil that you wanted to use. it works really well. It's been used in the health practices in India for centuries, and it's just a fantastic oil for somebody to start with. Now, if you're not into that sort of mustiness, you might prefer some myrrh. So that, again, is another one that's been used for centuries for internal and external health benefits. And it's been used for religious ceremonies as well. I think that's where a lot of people have heard of this. Now, that's also a great one for soothing the skin. So this would be another one that I think that guys would enjoy. It comes from the resin. It's steam distilled, and it can be used to diffuse. It can be used in your skincare. I don't think I said that with spikenard that it is not something you can use internally, so just in case I didn't mention that, don't use spikenard internally, but you can use myrrh internally. If you're using, again, company that's been really good about testing. Diffusing it is really great. You can add it to your toothpaste to help get some added cleansing benefits. It's going to lift your mood. It's going to help you have a little more focus. And it helps with reducing the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. And also, you could add it with a little bit of honey in water to help ease some of that butterflies in the stomach sort of feeling. So that's a really great oil that I really love. There's all kinds of other oils that you could use. You could use cypress. That helps with a lot of those deeper underlying emotions that you're not really paying attention to. You could use coriander, and that's good for the feelings that are accompanied by the adrenal fatigue sort of nervousness that we get. Often also with that sort of fear that's accompanying those that have a lot of migraines. Bergamot is another really great one. I love the citrus oils to address fear. They're great for fear-based, for aromatherapy. Bergamot is especially a great oil to use. A lot of people love ylang ylang. I'm not a fan. And let me tell you this. If you enjoy an essential oil and you are then you're going to get more benefit from it. If you do not enjoy essential oil, maybe it's not the right oil for you yet. Okay? So keep that in mind. Melissa, which is not available very often, is a great oil as well that you could use. And black pepper is a great one if you're really stuck. Black pepper is a really great one. They've done clinical testing for those that are trying to get beyond the cravings when they're trying to stop smoking. And I've seen a lot of people have great success using that in aromatherapy to help unblock that energy and get beyond that. There's a lot of blended oils out there that you could go through. One that I really like that's a really great grounding blend, it has spruce and howood leaf and frankincense. I love frankincense. Frankincense is always a great oil for so many things. Blue tansy. It's got blue chamomile, which is one of my favorite essential oils. So that's a great one. If you're looking for a new oil to try, if you're looking for uplifting, any sort of citrus blend is going to be really uplifting and invigorating, give you a little more energy. I love the red mandarin, bergamot, lemon, grapefruit. Grapefruit's great for those emotions that go along with what we're carrying in our weight and our fat cells. All of those emotions that we've got tied there. Clementine is another great one. Wild orange. So there's a lot of great citrus oils. Lime is great for childhood. Tangerine is another one that's really wonderful. So really think about, what are you looking for? You know, sandalwood could help with elevation. So maybe you would take and you would mix like a ylang ylang and a citrus with your sandalwood to try to uplift while you're trying to also kind of feel that safety and that security. There's so many ways that we can use essential oils, and there's so many ways that the root chakra really matters to us. And yet it's literally the foundation of our chakra system. And yet, we don't really talk about it. Sometimes there's talk of it in the natural health industry, and sometimes there's talk of it in some of the more natural fitness. So one of the things is that I've seen a lot of Pilates moves that people do to get grounded in your body. And it helps for when, if you're scattered and flighty, and that's connected to that root chakra. So there was a great article that I will go ahead and try to link to on my Facebook page about some wonderful Pilates moves that you can do right at your desk to help with this, to reconnect at work for those of you that are, working at a desk job, or even, maybe on your lunch break you would do this. And there's some to help you get grounded and to awaken your upper body and to awaken your lower body, which, that's fantastic because we need some of these stress-relieving, grounding routines in our life. We need to be connected. Now, this is also, you might want to really think about how your chakras are being affected by the food that you eat. So, science, as I've talked about, says that there's clinical studies that there's health challenges that can be impacted by the energies of our chakras, and we can see the chakras and the unbalance of the chakras. And so foods that are really going to help you with this root chakra are going to be those tomatoes and the strawberries, the apples, especially, the red apples, beets and pomegranates, raspberries. And I find it interesting because if you think about the tomato seed, the pomegranate seed, the raspberry seed, all of these seed oils are in those omegas that are very essential to our body that we just can't naturally make on our own, that we have to take in through dietary. And so how weird is that we know all the things that the omegas do for us, and yet they're, connected to this chakra. And if this is from womb to 6 months, when, if you think about omegas, most people think about omegas in brain health, right? Or omegas in heart health. So why would necessarily our brain and our heart be required to have that connection to the omegas at that young age? Well, there we go. It's because these are high vibrational foods that have strong grounding properties and can help recharge our chakra. So what I want you to do is I want you to think as you go through this next week really about how can you do some of this cool, new agey, vibey things to try to raise your vibration. As well, I want you to remember to, before you purchase any oils, that you really look at the label information, that it's in, the right color of a bottle. Look for pricing. If you know that frankincense is always going to be around $60 or more, and you find one that's $25, Either it's a company that's been around for 35 years, which I do know of several that have really amazing ties into Kenya and Somalia, to some of these groups, that these co-ops that have been doing frankincense for decades and decades, or it's not necessarily frankincense. If it's a really long chain of supply, like it has to go through a lot of different places, it's probably going to be adulterated. If it has a funny scent, make sure you buy it from somewhere that you can take it back. And then it's up to you whether you buy organic or not. I'm not necessarily so concerned with organic. I'm concerned with making sure that whoever is growing my oils, that they are caring for sustainable soil, that they are not using the herbicides and pesticides that are going to be in the plants, and that all of these things are tested for to make sure that I'm getting what I'm supposed to be getting. So determine what oil you want to start with and use a plan. Decide how you're going to use it. If you're going to use it as aromatherapy, get yourself a good diffuser. Play around with it. Make sure that you are doing the dilution. You can just Google dilution charts to find out how much you should dilute for whether you have a lower immune system, or depending on age, whether you're elderly or if you're trying to use this with a child. Make sure you talk to an aromatherapist if you're using any oils with a child that's under 6, because there are some oils that are not safe for children that are under 6 years of age. And there are a few that are not safe for children that are under the age of 10. So make sure you talk to a certified aromatherapist to find out about that. Make sure that you're looking at the GCMS testing. Several oil companies now allow you access from the batch to just plug in the batch information online and see all of the testing that was done. And then make sure that the label shows the Latin name of the plant and the common name of the plant, not that it just says lavender. Make sure you're looking at what it is, so that you're getting what actually is needed, because there is no official grading system for essential oils in the United States. So anything that's coming into the United States, there's no organization that's overseeing to make sure that we're getting what we want to be getting. Now, there was an article in the news recently that I did post on the page about a woman that got severely burned from going to the tanning salon after putting some essential oils on. And that's why you really need to know that so many plants are photosynthesizing. And so, your bergamot and your ginger and your lemon, your lime and your red mandarin and your orange and tangerine, and a lot of these oils that I have talked about, doesn't matter whether you applied it to your skin, but if you have consumed it in any way within 12 hours of sun exposure, then you could be putting yourself at risk. So keep that in mind during the summer months. And maybe these are oils that you want to use in the evening, and find a different oil to use in the morning. I hope that some of this information has been helpful today, and I hope that you will take some time to really engage in a new, higher vibrational life. And hopefully, as a certified aromatherapist, I hope that you will be encouraged to use essential oils in your routines and in your practice. And always feel free to reach out if you need someone to help you sort through all of the different choices for essential oils, because I would love to give you that support, and I would love to share with you some of my favorite oils. I work with about 5 different suppliers. My one main supplier, I have a full binder on all of their oils, and so I can tell you, is this oil safe? Could this oil trigger a seizure? Is this essential oil blend, or is this essential oil wellness product, does it contain something that could cause some sort of a issue with someone that has food allergies? I often can connect you with your pharmacist on things that I might see as being reactive for them to research for you. And I can send you with information to your physician, because your treating physician knows you better than anyone else, and they can take the information that I give you that's trying to help you with your source of energy and wellness and happiness in spirit, and they can be that supportive grounding area, which we've been talking about grounding. They can be that grounding support for you as you take on heart, soul, muscle, and mind. So I adore you. Thanks for being a part of this hour. And I really hope that you'll keep connecting and keep learning about essential oils and chakras, and hopefully I will branch more out again in the future. But for right now, I want to delve into this, at least for the next few months, and then we'll see what direction that this vlogcast will go. So have a fantastic day. No bad hair days. You know, go out and push the art form and feel glam and beautiful, and know that whatever you're doing, like for you moms, motherhood is silly, and just being who you are, this is what success looks like, is taking that accountability on, being who you are, opening up your mind to the possibilities all the way around you. So love you. This is Barbara Christensen. You can find me on Facebook for essential oils at Life Essentially Healthy Living, or I am the creator of the Paleo Veggie lifestyle, and I'd love to have you come join me on my Paleo Veggie page. So peace out, have a great time, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.